In episode 35, titled Contain Threats, Eradicate Malware, and Recover Operations, we frame contain, eradicate, recover as a disciplined loop designed to prevent reinfection rather than as a hurried sprint to green dashboards. The loop starts with fast, reversible actions that limit blast radius, continues with methodical cleanup that removes root causes and not just symptoms, and closes with staged restoration under heightened observation. Each pass through the loop records evidence, decisions, and verification so the program learns and auditors can follow the trail without guesswork. When teams adopt this rhythm, the organization trades anxious improvisation for assured, repeatable movements that protect people, data, and revenue while keeping technical debt from hardening into tomorrow's incident. Containment tactics should be selected based on impact and evidence, not habit or fear. Network isolation at the switch, hypervisor, or agent level is appropriate when lateral movement or command and control is suspected, and the host can be safely cordoned without disrupting life and safety functions. Account disablement and token revocation are favored when identity misuse or credential theft is evident, especially for privileged roles or automation identities that amplify reach. Targeted block rules in firewalls, web application firewalls, and mail gateways can stop known bad destinations, attachment types, or routes while engineers investigate. The guiding principle is simple. Pick narrow, high-certainty moves that reduce attacker options immediately and can be rolled back after verification, because low-regret containment buys time without creating new outages. Speed in containment cannot ignore business consequences, so responders must coordinate with owners who understand operational and safety stakes. A clinical system, a manufacturing line, or a trading gateway may require special isolation modes or maintenance windows, and responders should have pre-approved playbook branches for those realities. Business owners can state tolerances clearly, maximum downtime, acceptable degradation, safety interlocks, and provide the run-state knowledge that prevents a protective action from becoming an operational incident. This collaboration is not a slowing step. It is how you avoid trading one class of harm for another. When security and business owners move together, containment decisions become sharper, faster, and easier to defend. Eradication is where discipline shows. Malware removal must include validated tooling, complete scans, and manual checks for persistence mechanisms such as scheduled tasks, registry run keys, launch agents, cron tabs, startup folders, and cloud init scripts. Patching addresses the exploit path by moving software and firmware to safe versions, and credential resets close the identity door that attackers pried open. This includes passwords, application secrets, keys, tokens, and any hard-coded credentials discovered during triage. Every action should be documented with timestamps, operators, tools, and versions and outcomes so later reviewers can follow what changed and why. Eradication is the patient work that turns a chaotic morning into a clean afternoon. Malware artifacts are more than souvenirs. They are signals for hunts and control improvements. Extract hashes, file names, mutexes, command and control domains, process trees, and lateral movement techniques. Then pivot through logs and endpoint telemetry to identify additional footholds or failed attempts. Indicators of compromise, spelled IOCs on first mention and IOCs thereafter, feed block lists and retro hunts. Indicators of attack, spelled IOAs on first mention and IOAs thereafter, refine behavioral detections and segmentation policies. Share distilled indicators with detection engineers so correlation rules and analytics improve in the places that matter. Treat every artifact as a learning object that tightens defenses for the next hour, not just the next quarter. Recovery begins with trustworthy sources, which means restoring from backups only after cleanroom validation and integrity checks. Build restores in an isolated environment. Verify cryptographic checksums or signed snapshots, and run anti-malware and configuration baselines before any connection to production is considered. Validate application dependencies, secrets management bindings, and service accounts so a clean image does not start life with broken integrations. Only when the restored system passes integrity and functional tests should it be allowed to rejoin networks and trust domains. Cleanroom discipline prevents a backup as reinfection loop and restores confidence that the foundation is solid. Hosts and network cleanliness require layered verification before anyone declares victory. Rescan hosts with updated signatures and behavior engines, compare critical configuration items to gold baselines, and confirm that logging and alerting agents are present, healthy, and sending. On the network, check for quieted beacons, closed egress to risky destinations, restored segmentation boundaries, and normal traffic patterns for the asset class. Review identity and access logs for continued failed authentications, unexpected device registrations, or token reuse that would suggest an undetected foothold. Validation is not a single scan. It is a small battery of checks that together make a persuasive case that threats have been removed. Service restoration must be staged, with canaries and rollbacks at the ready. Bring back the smallest viable slice first, a single node, a limited region, a constrained feature flag, and watch telemetry for error rates, latency spikes, and suspicious behaviors. Use feature flags to keep risky endpoints dark until downstream systems are verified, and pre-stage rollback plans that name the owner who can execute them without debate. Record each stage with the decision that allowed it, the evidence that supported it, and the time window for observation before the next step. Staged restoration prevents turning a small, contained event into a large, customer-facing one. The recovery window deserves heightened monitoring because residual threats are most likely to surface while systems settle. Increase sampling and sensitivity temporarily on identity anomalies, endpoint process lineage, egress volumes from sensitive zones, and changes to cloud control planes. Tune thresholds to avoid panic, but favor early pages to the on-call crew that just worked the incident so context stays hot. Keep this posture for an agreed period, often hours to days depending on blast radius, and require an explicit decision to return to baseline. Extra eyes during recovery catch the stragglers that would otherwise become next week's headline. Clear, measured communication keeps stakeholders informed without overpromising. Provide concise updates that state what happened, what has been contained, what is being eradicated, what is restoring, and what risks remain, along with the next checkpoint time. Avoid speculative statements about root cause or adversary identity until evidence supports them. Instead, emphasize steps taken and thresholds for upcoming decisions. Use versions tailored to technical teams, executives, customers, and, where appropriate, regulators, with consistent facts and timing. Calm transparency builds trust and buys the time necessary to finish the job correctly. A program only improves when it captures lessons, control gaps, and concrete actions with owners and dates. Record where detection lagged, where containment was delayed by missing access or unclear authority, where eradication discovered surprise credentials or shadow systems, and where restoration exposed brittle dependencies. Convert these observations into backlog items. Agent coverage expansions, segmentation rules, backup immutability, credential hygiene campaigns, playbook edits, and assign accountable owners with realistic deadlines. Revisit these actions at the next governance review so the same fire does not burn twice. Learning is the dividend of a hard day. Collect it while memories are fresh. 3 warnings deserve special emphasis, each paired with countermeasures. Premature recovery, bringing systems back before verification, often leads to rapid reinfection. Counter with mandatory cleanliness checks and staged reintroduction with canaries. Incomplete credential hygiene, resetting user passwords but leaving service tokens and application keys intact, leaves invisible doors open. Counter with a full inventory of secrets and a sweep that covers human and non-human identities. Untested backups, assuming restorability because files exist, fail when process and integrity have never been proven. Counter with quarterly restore drills, signed snapshots, and documented runbooks that the operations team can execute without the original architects. These countermeasures are boring by design, and that is their power. In conclusion, make this episode tangible with 2 concrete next steps that strengthen the loop. First, author a containment playbook that names high-certainty, low-regret actions for identity, endpoint, network, and cloud, along with the verification and rollback steps that make early moves safe. Second, schedule and execute a recovery test on a non-critical system. Perform a cleanroom restore, run integrity and functionality checks, reconnect under a feature flag, and operate under heightened monitoring for a defined window. Capture evidence, note gaps in access and runbooks, and assign fixes with dates. When containment is fast, eradication is thorough, and recovery is staged and verified, reinfection gives way to resilience. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.